This report's findings determine there is substantial evidence that Matt Gaetz...
I don't believe anything that I hear and only half of what I see.
The report lists payments totaling more than $90,000.
Half of what I see is a lack of an indictment.
Engaged in rampant illicit drug use.
How about we release the report on the slush fund?
And Gaetz has denied any improper conduct.
So what is this really? This looks like a political hit job to me. Welcome back to the Devore Darkness Show. We're traveling during the holidays with family, as you guys can see. And of course, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But we're still going to talk about the news. And in today's video, we are discussing the Matt Gaetz House Ethics Report. A lady was burned alive on the subway in New York City. And Joe Biden is still granting clemency to murderers. All of these stories and more in this video. But let's start with CBS and what they had to say about Matt Gaetz.
CBS News has obtained a final draft of the House Ethics Committee report on former Congressman Matt Gaetz. The bipartisan committee, led by Republicans, includes some shocking allegations. Scott McFarland has the latest. Scott, good morning.
Hey, Adriana, good morning to you. This report's findings determine there is substantial evidence that Matt Gaetz had sex with a minor, engaged in rampant illicit drug use, and violated multiple state laws while in office. The report lists payments totaling more than $90,000 to 12 different women between 2017 to 2020 and alleges the money was likely connected to sexual activity and drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy.
Now, you guys already know what I had to say on X. We already knew about these allegations, right? I mean, they've been talking about it for the last few months, especially when Matt Gaetz was nominated for Attorney General. Secondly, with all this energy, money, and resources, you would think there should have been an indictment. I mean, they have an indictment against Mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. They got an indictment against President-elect Trump, but they don't have an indictment against Matt Gaetz. What's going on here? And number three, can we see a report on every congressman and congresswoman? I mean, how about that? If we're going to get this petty, right, and stoop to this level, why don't we just do it for everybody, right?
The committee also obtained testimony that alleges Gaetz had sex twice with a 17-year-old girl. The victim told the committee she recalled receiving $400 in cash from Gaetz, which she understood to be payment for sex. Gaetz is also accused of creating a fake email from his Capitol Hill office for the purpose of purchasing marijuana and referred to drugs as party favors, rolls, and vitamins. The report did not uncover sufficient evidence of violations of federal sex trafficking laws, and Gaetz has denied any improper conduct, writing last week that his behavior in his 30s may have been embarrassing, though not criminal.
Now, before I give you guys my rant about all of this, here's what Matt Gaetz had to say on X. Giving funds to someone you are dating that didn't ask you for it and that isn't charged for sex is now prostitution, ? There's a reason that they did this to me in a Christmas Eve report and not in a courtroom of any kind where I could present evidence and challenge witnesses. This is testimony from one of the alleged prostitutes that you won't see in the report. Takes some balls to obviously post something like this. And here's what that screenshot stated. I never charge anyone anything. Like I said, it was just given. Now, other people in the comment section said things like this. Here's Andrew Tate. You were attacked by the Matrix. Another user stated, again, regardless of the report, these are still allegations and the release of this report is peculiarly timed. The Democrats know no shame. This is a mean, devious, and typical Democratic lawfare ploy. Shame on them. And another user wrote, which I want to see more of, how about we release the report on the slush fund money for Congress that's allocated for the sexual conduct that they participate in, meaning the government actively pays people off so that these individuals who work in Congress are not exposed. And here's Elon Musk back in November writing this. As for these accusations against him, I consider them worth less than nothing. Under our laws, a man is considered innocent until proven guilty. If A.G. Garland, an unprincipled douchebag, could have secured a conviction against Gaetz, he would have, but he knew he could not. Case closed. So the obvious question is, well, what do you think about this, Devore? Well, my common sense reaction to this is always the same, which is I don't believe anything that I hear and only half of what I see. And the half of what I see is a lack of an indictment. There's been no civil suit brought against him, no criminal charges brought against him, no public statement made by the Attorney General of the United States saying that they are investigating Matt Gaetz for criminal acts. So what is this really? This looks like a political hit job to me. Now, let me clarify something. This was actually released December 18th, but it was leaked to the network of CBS today. So they've had it for quite some time. They've known about this already. And here's Congressman Burchard on CNN responding when they first announced it on December 18th. Here you go.
First of all, your reaction to this decision by the House Ethics Committee to release the Matt Gaetz ethics report. Do you support that?
No, I don't. I think Matt's out of Congress, and I'm going to push for the Ethics Committee to release all the findings they have on every congressman, because if it's good for one, it's good for all of them.
And here's the other thing about all of this. We're talking about a draft report that was leaked, not the official report, not the certified report. This is a draft report, which could still have corrections, of course. That's number one. Number two, again, I go back to it. Why did the Attorney General not prosecute or indict Matt Gaetz? I want you guys to answer that in the comment section below. Now, before we move to the next story, if you guys are getting value from today's show, please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you do want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or you can buy us a cup of coffee. Now, it is no secret that the New York City subways are not a safe place to be. Just recently, a lady was burned alive on the subway. Now, wait till you hear who actually did it. Let's take a look.
DHS sources now telling Fox that the suspect arrested after fatally setting a woman on fire on the New York City subway yesterday is a previously deported illegal migrant from Guatemala. Those sources say he was arrested and deported in June of 2018 after crossing illegally into Arizona. He then re-entered the United States illegally as a getaway at an unknown time and location. DHS has no record of him entering the United States again. So this is one of the alleged gotaways that we know where they ended up. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of others we have no clue about.
Now, this story is just outrageous. Let's just be honest about it, right? It once again confirms exactly everything that Trump was saying about illegal migration into the United States of America and how much the media kept trying to diminish that claim. This is another confirmation that it is a problem. Citizens don't want to hear an illegal migrant burning American citizens alive. And citizens also don't want to be lied to from the media about what's actually happening in their own neighborhoods. And that's why today's sponsor is Ground News. Head over to ground.news/Devori to check them out today. Now, allow me to show you how powerful this tool really is. We looked up the story that we're talking about, the woman that was set on fire on a New York City subway. Now, this tool will import all of the articles and label it based on what side that it leans. So articles that lean left and articles that lean right, and just check out how biased they can be. Now, for example, here's an article that leans left. Man arrested for setting woman on fire in NYC subway murder. And then here's an article that leans right. Illegal immigrant arrested in connection with women's nightmarish NYC subway death. So you could tell how one side doesn't want to notice that he's an illegal migrant, but the other side does. And this is why Ground News has something called the bias distribution score that tells you which way does this story overall lean. Does it lean more to the left or more to the right? And another powerful feature from Ground News is something called the blind spot tool. These are stories that are disproportionately reported by only one side of the political spectrum. And that's why I love Ground News, and you will too. So head over to the link in the description below, my pinned comment, or scan the QR code. It's going to take you over to ground.news/Devori to get 50% off the Vantage plan for the rest of this year. And you can, if you're already a subscriber, you can gift that same 50% off to a family or friend. Now, what makes this interesting is Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is being ripped on social media because she just was touting how safe the New York City subways are. And here is a clip of that. Check this out.
I'm on the subway train heading out to Queens Center. I have a lot of, not quite last minute, but I have holiday shopping to do. I've got an adorable 2-year-old granddaughter, so it's a lot more fun to shop. I can take the subway wherever we need to go. And I want all New Yorkers to feel safe, which is why we've added so many more National Guard, over 250 more people that'll make sure that your ride is as safe as it can be.
And here's Libs of TikTok on X posting this hours after a migrant lit a woman on fire and watched her burn to death on the subway. Governor Kathy Hochul is posting staged photos on the subway, boasting about how safe it is, unreal. And then, of course, Governor Hochul put this on her Instagram, as you guys can see. Here's the photo. What a joke, right? And then the caption states, in March, I took action to make our subways safer for the millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard to support NYPD and MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down and ridership is going up. Now, it wasn't just social media that ripped the governor. It was also the new border czar, Tom Homan. Here's what he had to say.
Well, look, this is another example of an illegal alien killing American citizens. It's almost a daily occurrence now. You know, because historic number of criminal aliens walking the streets, because this administration's policy in sanctuary jurisdictions and lax immigration enforcement. ICE has their hands tied. Secretary Mayorkas have given them priorities that they can't even go arrest an illegal alien anymore unless he's convicted of a serious crime. Then maybe they can arrest him. So this is on this administration. As far as Governor Hochul, shame on her. She supports sanctuary status in that state. She welcomed thousands of illegal aliens to her state. She sent them to Buffalo and Syracuse. Murders occurred by illegal aliens in Buffalo and Syracuse. She has a green light law. ICE and CBP can't even work with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement can't even share DMV data with these people. So Governor Hochul, shame on you. There's nothing you can say that's going to make this right in New York.
Now, here's what Charlie Kirk had to say as well. Open borders were never about compassion for the immigrant. They were about the congressional apportionments, votes, money, and power. Democrats gambled that if they kept calling anyone who opposed them a racist, fascist, Americans would roll over and accept the crime, chaos, taxes, and cultural degradation of the invasion long enough for them to turn America into a one-party state, which they controlled. They were wrong. Deportations are coming. And here's what Elon Musk had to say as well. He said, New York City is experiencing insane gridlock surface traffic because people are legitimately afraid to take the subway or walk. He responded to a post that was put up by In Wokeness, quote, the subway is more safer than ever, with a photo that obviously debunks that claim. Since pandemic, overall, 12% down, but felony assaults are up. Murder is up and burglary is up. So I guess you be the judge of where New York City is at when it comes to crime. Now, this is the perfect segue into the next story when you're talking about crime, where President Joe Biden just granted clemency for 37 out of the 40 inmates who are currently on death row. Yes, you heard me correctly. Here is Fox News breaking that story. Watch.
Christmas came early for 37 federal death row prisoners after President Biden commuted their sentences. Among them, bank robbers, men convicted of multiple homicides, and men who killed children. It's not his first round of end-of-term acts of clemency, but will it be his last? Civil rights attorney and Fox News contributor Leo Terrell is here with his thoughts. Leo, great to see you here today. Certainly it is a president's right to grant clemency, but the optics are questionable to so many, given the crimes here. And in fact, President-elect Trump, is calling it a slap in the face to all the victims. Your thoughts?
It is a slap, and this is not the type of Christmas you want for the victim's family, Anita. Children were murdered. A naval officer was murdered. And these are the worst of the worst. I want people to understand one thing. 53% of Americans support the death penalty. These murderers received justice. They went to trial. There was a death penalty phase. These are the worst of the worst.
So if we exercise some common sense, we know President Biden is not the one who clearly made the decisions here, all right? This is being led up by progressive hacks like the president of the NAACP and many others who believe that this is in the name of justice to grant clemency to these type of individuals, i.e. these murderers, I guess. Somewhere in their reality, this is a right thing to do. Now, it's not my opinion. I'm not saying that. The NAACP president is saying that, and here he is.
Joining us now is the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. The organization has been advocating for the Biden administration to commute the sentences of even more people in prison, especially those incarcerated under the war on drugs. So Derek, what do you make of this move? Perhaps not surprising, particularly after the Pope weighed in, but what do you make of it?
Well, we commend the president for this extraordinary act. The clemency and pardon powers of the president is unmatched. And it's good to see that he's using the moral authority of his faith to do what's right. You think about those who are on death row. Over 55% of those individuals are people of color, African Americans and Latinos and others. In fact, for every 8 people who are killed, 1 person later is found to be exonerated.
Okay, I just had to stop it really quick because I want to make sure you heard what he just stated. For every 8 people who are on death row, 1 of them is exonerated. So if we go based on that logic, okay, then that means that for every 8 people on death row, 1 should get clemency. If you want to play that game, right? This is nonsense that he's using that as a reason for why this was a good decision. Guys, the number again, 37 out of 40 were granted clemency. Make that make sense.
So we are encouraging the president to continue on this moral path to ensure that the disparities that we see in the system that has been proven is addressed through the clemency process. There are individuals that should be pardoned. They are productive citizens. And this is the type of legacy that we will want to see any president go out on. A legacy of helping people recognizing disparities and addressing moral inequities.
It's all about equity, right? Let's give them a shot. Okay, what about the individuals that were murdered? Did they get a shot? The multiple individuals. Some of these people killed multiple people. So, it just shows you the fundamental disconnect and also the divide between progressives and conservatives. Conservatives are like, yeah, death penalty immediately. Progressives are like, wait a minute, no death penalty. Let's give these guys a chance. Now, of course, that is my own conservative opinion. However, there are Democratic congressmen who are going onto the news and voicing their opposition to this decision. Here's an example of that on CNN. Watch.
I do want to ask you about the other breaking news that we saw happening this morning, coming from President Biden, commuting the sentences of all but 3 people on federal death row, a move that was meant to stop the president-elect from restarting stalled executions. He suggests that and points to it in his statement, saying, in good conscience, I cannot stand back and let a new administration resume executions that I halted. Are you okay with that?
I have real concerns overall with the death penalty, but I also have concerns with the executive branch overturning cases that have been decided by courts across the country. We had to have some autonomy there. And I understand the concerns and threats of a Trump administration going forward on these. But I think the baseline is, I think you commute sentences or pardon people when you think justice was not done in those cases. It sets a precedent here that goes well beyond his pardoning his own son, which again, I think was a mistake because no one is above the law.
Now, clearly, anybody who agreed with this type of move is a progressive hack, meaning they probably have more compassion for the criminal than they do for the victim. And that's really what's wrong with our country. We can't exercise common sense when it is absolutely needed. And like you guys heard, the only reason why they're really doing this is because of political reasons. They want to stop Trump from executing the death penalty. So this isn't really about justice for these murderers, of course. It's definitely not justice for the victims. Again, this is another progressive decision that continues to show how out of touch this administration has been and why we just can't wait till January 20th. Now, I'd love for you guys to answer this question in the comment section below. Do you want to see a full-on investigation on every single member of Congress? They released a House Ethics Committee report on Matt Gaetz. Do you want to see them conduct one on every single member of Congress? Let me know if that is the case and why in the comment section below. Now, as I said in the very beginning of this video, we are traveling for Christmas and enjoying the holidays with family. But I'm still going to do everything I can to deliver the news to you in a common sense way. And in case you missed my last video that was over the weekend about the funding bill that was passed, what you'll be able to see is how much the media is freaking out, the new lies that they're starting to push about what was passed and what wasn't. And of course, the labeling of Elon Musk and Donald Trump's relationship. All of those stories and more in that video. So if you want to check it out, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.